My name is Mark. I guess I need to, Gore Vidal once referred to the United States as the United States of amnesia, because everybody seems to forget pretty quickly what's gone on in the past. Everybody remembers, or you ask you to remember, the shortage of electricity and natural gas in California and Alberta a few years ago. Enron then finally admitted after it was collapsing that it had caused all of that. And when Gray Davis, the governor of California, started investigating and rolling back all those contracts, the energy company stepped forward and promoted Schwarzenegger to be the next Republican governor to terminate that exposure. Ralph Klein, when he heard that Alberta was the proving ground for all of that, Alberta really tested those theories. And by the way, people have said that Alberta is the proving ground for most Republican theory. He said there would be no inquiry in Alberta. So when I think of BC Hydro's management, I guess the only really word that comes to mind is corruption. Because before Enron collapsed, a division of Enron was dispatched to Bermuda called Accenture, where it could hide from the inquiry by the American government. And as the Swiss government guards bank records, Bermuda government hides all corporate records. Nobody's allowed to know. So to Gordon Campbell, this was the ideal corrupt accounting firm to surrender BC Hydro to. That California was forced by law to export as much power as it needed in that shortfall. And people in California had paid for the dams. They were forced to surrender control of electricity generated to private companies that then had freedom to sell them to anyone they wanted. So they sold it to Arizona, New Mexico, and everywhere else. So if California wanted to save power, they could close all the pulp mills they have down there in the desert, when our pulp mills up here basically sit vacant right next to rivers. So I guess when I think of your little comment about the area we declared a protected area after you've put your power lines through, it reminds me when I shot a moose with my dad, and I declared it a protected species right afterwards because no one was going to touch it after I shot it. And also, I drove out here from Vancouver to come to this meeting because I care. I had a lot of family in World War II, some who died, and I've always brought up with the idea, I know it's false, but I'll take on anybody except this guy right here to defend my right to own this country from one end to the other. So the people of Pitt Meadows don't own that park. And if you wanted to hold a good meeting, I invite you to go to Vancouver, say to the Trade and Convention Center where you can house unless, of course, Accenture steps forward and says, of course, they own it. So this whole falsification of an inflated shortfall for power, when some of the major wasteful uses of energy have never been addressed, is a fraud. Every apartment building in the West End, I'm not talking condos, still has single pane glass. You could put double pane glass. If you want to save energy that's used in sewage treatment plants, you could ban carburetors. It doesn't sound like a big idea. New York's already banned them to prevent hundreds of millions of tons of solid material not going down their sewer lines and then having to be processed and removed by their sewage power plants. Australia just said to hell with people switching to incandescent lights. They just sent people out with trucks and replaced them all, and you can't buy an incandescent light in Australia. You can fill it as many times as you want, it's going to drain away. There'll always be a greater demand until we assault the wastefulness of power. When the clock on a microwave oven uses more power than the microwave oven, that issue should be addressed. So I guess what I think of uses for the folks around here of the Pitt River, I know some people who spent money to build campgrounds for kids, so that they can have the same mental health break everybody here enjoys when they go camping or goes out in a canoe. And think of all the tens of thousands of kids that live in East Van and now the downtown area who would love to spend a week or two in a kids' summer camp, which is what the Pitt River and that area should be used for. People probably live in Vancouver. Well, Well, these kids would love to get out just for a week or 10 days in the summer. So I guess my big question to you right here, and I'd like this question answered, is this the only meeting you're going to hold on this? Or are you going to go more to the center of the population of the Lower Mainland and hold some meetings in Vancouver? Since a number of them, because you have to close the first one down, this one's overflowed. So if you really believe, if you actually believe that, you know, your own publicity that you sold, that you want input, then go to where? And also I saw you had input from service organizations. I didn't see a line in there that said you met with all the major environmental groups in BC at an open meeting.